Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction to read through for Tower of God, Chapter 629, or Season 3, Episode 212. So, I'm gonna try to not be too loud because it's like 1 a.m. as I'm recording this, but let me tell you, I just had the craziest moment setting up to record. So setting up to record, I was like, okay, what chapter are we on? Gotta throw it up on screen. Oh, 629. But then I was like, we literally just had 619. I was like, just recently, because I was like, oh, it's the Rey Mysterio number. And then I'm like, there's no way it has been 10 chapters since then. Then it hit me, I'm like, no, because I also remember recently being like, oh, 626, it's the Lilo and Stitch number. So I am just blown away that we're already 10 chapters past 619. That is insane to me. We're getting so close to 650 so quickly. I'm gonna really need to get some Tower of God hype, some Tower of God motivation going on so that I can make that character pull by 650. Definitely gonna need that because I was so like high on Tower of God, and of course, you know, if you've been watching for years and years, you know that I love Tower of God, of course. But I don't know. I feel like my hype was so high a couple months ago when it's like, oh, we're getting a new Tower of God anime, and I wasn't the hugest fan of season one. I'm like, yeah, it might be mid, but we're gonna get some new anime, and it might be good. Who knows? It isn't out yet. So we not only had that, but we were in the Traumerei flashback. So it's like I have the hype for the potential of the new anime. We're in the Traumerei flashback, which is incredibly exciting. And then the anime comes out, and there's been like one good episode. The rest have been mid at best. It just hasn't been very good, and it's really actually kind of bothered me a little bit. Because again, as somebody who's been loving and pushing for Tower of God, when I first started covering Tower of God, it was because nobody was doing it. And I saw people making One Piece videos, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool. I love the like One Piece YouTube community. It'd be really cool if people were making videos like that for Tower of God. So that's why I started doing Tower of God videos, because it's like one of my favorite series. And like, this is the part of the story, the, you know, what is it, Return of the Prince, workshop battle stuff, to me is arguably the series' peak. I would understand if you said the peak was Hell Train. I think that Hell Train has some points that are just as good, if not better, than early season 2, but it's also like not as solid. Like early season 2, when we're talking workshop battle, Return of the Prince, I don't think I have like any criticisms. I don't have anything where I'm like, oh, I would change this or do this differently, but there's plenty of that for Hell Train. So, you know, one of those I'd argue is the best we've gotten. I really like the Nest saga. It's pretty good. The current Declaration of War saga exists. It's kind of like the inverse of the Nest, where the Nest started off the kind of slow, where we got the first part of the Cage arc, and then it just built, where the back half of the Cage was really good, and then the Walls was even better, the Nest got even better as it went along. We've kind of been in the opposite sort of place, where the Hotel was really, really good. I think that might be one of Tower of God's most solid arcs. And then the stuff between the Nest and the Sprout, honestly hit and miss. There's some really good stuff, some really not so great stuff, and the Sprout has been just not very good. We've got some good characters and a couple of good subplots going on, but we don't focus on them a lot, and most of the time it just feels like we're taking a long time to do very little. Like, again, I keep harping back on the branch leader fights, where it felt like the branch leader fights took way more time and gave us way less story for the time spent than the Yusracha division commander fights back in the Nest. And that's kind of how a lot of the Sprout feels. It's like we spend a lot of time to really not do all that much story or character wise, and that's not to say we get nothing. It's just what we do get, I feel like, could be written in a much shorter time. I feel like there's a lot of wasted time going on in the Sprout, and it just, I feel like I miss the main story. It feels like season 2 was the main story, and season 3 was kind of like a side story. We're going off to rescue Jinsung, and at best in season 3 it feels like we've made lateral progress in the story. It just doesn't feel like we've made forward progress in the story of Tower of God, the like main story. And we're dealing with family heads. It just doesn't feel like we've made progress. If anything, it feels like we're regressing when we're not moving sideways. So it just feels like, when we finished up Dollar Show and we just cut away to Ron's team and Ron fights Hess, and that was so cool. Well, that wasn't in the middle of something, but if we did that now, just in the middle of this, we're getting family heads fighting, and I think it was Luck on Discord was like, how could you have family heads fighting and me responding like, meh, how'd we get to this point? And I don't think it's that bad, but at the same time, if we cut away and saw one of the like regular teams climbing and we saw like a fight with like Ron or Novik or one of Wangnan's team, I would be so much more excited for that. Like if we just cut away randomly this chapter and we're just seeing a regular fight, I'd be so much more excited than for literal family heads. Just because it feels like we've been doing this for dozens of chapters. I'm a little family headed out, if I'm going to be real with you. We've been doing this for dozens of chapters, and while I think Traumary's a really good character, Gaston's solid too, I just, it's been so long and it feels like our progress is so slow, and that'll maybe be better when you're able to marathon it and you don't have to wait week to week. But waiting week to week, I just feel like I want some progress. I miss when I feel like Tower of God and One Piece have a similar problem where One Piece was at its best when the arcs were like 30 to 50 chapters max, and once One Piece started getting 100 plus chapter arcs, those are like some of the weakest arcs, because it feels like we spend a lot of time and we don't really get a lot out of that time most of the time. And Tower of God's done the same thing, where Tower of God was at its best when the arcs were like maybe a dozen chapters, like 30 some at the absolute most. But since we've blown up to these really long arcs, I just feel like it's diminishing returns. It feels to me like all of the Sprout, which now to this point has been nearly 30 chapters. It feels like these nearly 30 chapters, less of importance has happened. I feel less strongly about these 30 chapters than I felt about the like 20-ish, actually less than that we spent doing the, the Hand of Arlen stuff or the Untrustworthy Room stuff. I feel like this is just less good, less impactful, gives me less to work with most of the characters than that did, and we're just spending so much time, and these chapters are so much longer as well. It feels like we could be doing so much more. I'm feeling, I was so excited and so hyped for Tower of God between the idea of the anime coming and the manga or manhwa being like really good at the time, to now I'm honestly a little bit burnt out, and I should be saying this after the reaction, not before it, to be honest, but I am like just a little burnt out on what we're getting right now, because what we're getting right now just hasn't been the best in the manhwa ever since we got out of that flashback. I think it's just been kind of meh, and in addition to it just being kind of meh, the anime sucked, and that takes the wind out of my sails. That's been bothering me, because like I was saying, that's arguably the peak of the series. That should be the part where people are falling in love with Tower of God. Lots of series, when it's long running, people can be like, okay, just stick through this arc because you're going to get to this one in the future. Stick through that, you're going to get to that in the future. You can say that for Tower of God Season 1. Stick through that because you're going to get to Return of the Prince and Hell Train. Stick through that. If you don't like Return of the Prince and Hell Train, then maybe Tower of God isn't for you. But like, if you're like not fully invested, stick through that. You could get Hell Train. Maybe you'll be into Hell Train. But if you're not into Tower of God by Hell Train, it's like, why even stick with it? Because I don't think you're like, if you don't like all that, I don't think you're going to particularly care about anything we've had in season 3 so far. Like, again, and that's coming from somebody who likes the Nest Saga a lot. It's just, as much as I like it, I can't say it's anywhere as good as season 2. So I don't know. Just right now on the current week to week, it's probably going to be better marathoning. I just feel like I'm a little bit burnt out on what we're getting. I want the characters and the stories that I cared about for hundreds of chapters. I want those. The stories that we followed for hundreds of chapters and then dropped off and haven't followed for like another 200 chapters since then. I kind of want like that was Tower of God. That was the stories of Tower of God. And we dropped those stories of Tower of God and started doing the side quests for season 3, and I just kind of want to get back to what feels like the main quests. I want to get back to what feels like the stories that we were telling for hundreds of chapters. Like, I want to get back to these regular teams. I want Bomb's main group that's here, but they haven't been written the best. I want them to be written better and to see more of them be written better. Remember Kun and Rack in season 2 and season 1, and then look at them now and it's like, yeah, they're stronger, but are they better characters? No, they're like much worse for the most part. So yeah, I don't know. I really want to get back to something that feels more like Tower of God. That would really be nice. And even the art looks really, really nice in a lot of ways, but it just feels like we've gone really far into a generic webtoon style where we look like every other webtoon, and it doesn't feel like Tower of God anymore a lot of the time. Like, looking back at season 2's artwork, that is like really the sweet spot. I love season 1's artwork personally. A lot of people say, oh, it looks so bad, they've improved so much since then, but I like season 1's artwork. And then I think season 2's definitely does improve, and season 2, especially early season 2, to me is like the sweet spot. You look at some of the artwork in some of those arcs in Return of the Prince where it has like this darker look to it, or some of the stuff we get in Workshop Battle, and I think that's just the best. I would understand though if you said no, the best is like Name Hunt, because Name Hunt to me looks really good, or Floor of Death, especially Floor of Death to me is gorgeous. So if you said that was the peak of the art style, that was Tower of God to you, then I'd be like, yeah, I kind of agree. But it just feels like we've moved into a point now where it looks really good, but it just doesn't feel like Tower of God as much anymore, and that's been bothering me. So yeah, I'm honestly, I was at such a high point in my excitement, but now I'm just kind of in a low point for my excitement, and I'm just trying to get that back. But either way, let's read 629. I was planning to talk about this kind of stuff at the end after reacting, but I just kind of just got into it. I talked about Tower of God honestly with you all, because I enjoy talking about Tower of God with you all. Again, it's why I started doing what I was doing 8 years ago. So yeah, let's see what we have this week. We have a violence warning, which may or may not mean anything. The creature being torn apart from the disconnect last time. Rupture, disconnect, I know I got a million comments about it, but I think I get the idea. To me, the idea of disconnect is that the way he was using it here was kind of like a sheet of Shinsu, and it's like it literally disconnects anything. Like, I would think that means like his sheet, if you think of it sort of like a blade, it just, and I mean, it doesn't even have to be sharp like a blade, it just disconnects whatever it cleaves through. It basically, you know how the family heads will use the spatial distortion to fast travel? It's kind of like that in the sense that it just cuts through the space. It separates, it disconnects the space itself, which to me means that in theory it just cuts through anything. So long as Shinsu is involved, it just cuts through anything without any resistance. It doesn't matter what that thing is made of, how hard that thing is. It's not like he has to exert extra pressure like he was hitting it with a sword. He just disconnects it. That's what I think. And then he spiraled that sheet around the creatures, and then that's what cut them to pieces, because they were just, the space that they were inhabiting was all disconnected and they got diced essentially. And I don't know if he hit his own creature when he did that or not, but even if he did, I really don't think Tromre would care, because he can just put it back together. It'll be you, Gastang. Now we have Season 3, Battle Between the Family Heads, Tromre versus Gastang 3. And we're seeing the spiral here. And the pieces that got cut apart are being eaten by the ancient Shinwei, or Shinhale. Ah, look at that. I haven't seen that repulsive Shinsu control skill in ages. It's just like you. That's why you liked it so much. Wow, and we're seeing him using it to cut a carrot? So it can cut through anything? I think so. I can only make it into this thin, flat shape, and it doesn't last very long. But this Shinsu sheet cuts through anything that it touches. So what? Isn't that basically the same as high-pressure Shinsu? Seems pretty ordinary to me. I expected a more unique Shinsu control skill from someone who's been in anima for so long. Hey, keep it down. Do you know how sensitive he is? Don't upset him. If it really can cut through anything, that in itself is kind of unique, isn't it? but there are hardly any uses for a Shinsu control skill like that. I could think of a lot of uses, but to me it is interesting. So I think it is kind of like I said, where it just like is splitting the space itself. So anything involving Shinsu, it just doesn't matter the hardness, the resistance, he just cuts through it. Yeah, you have a point there, especially since it always has the same shape and attributes. But still, it kills anything that it touches. That's pretty impressive, right? I like it. Huh? Did he overhear us? You're sitting right there. I tend to be more open and welcoming than I look, but I like being able to cut people out of my life whenever I want. I like this sheet. And it's similar to, I think I said this too in Ron Can's chat, where I was like, Shinsu control skill seems like a unique thing, so I wonder if it's really a learned ability or something innate to Traumare because of his personality. And if so, I wonder if this is similar to how when they were going through Revolution, and, well, when Bomb specifically was going through Revolution and they were learning their Shinsu quality, we found that Bomb's Shinsu quality is just naturally in the shape of an orb. Kuhn's is naturally in the shape of a spear. Rax is naturally in the shape of a shield. And, you know, Rack has rocks, Kuhn has ice, Bomb absorbs things or devours things. I wonder then if this is Traumare's, you know, Shinsu quality, essentially. Traumare's Shinsu quality is to disconnect things. And this is the natural shape that his Shinsu takes, where Bomb's natural Shinsu shape is an orb, Traumare's is the sheet. So that's what this feels like to me. And we see he creates a bunch of them, it seems like. And the spiral is still there below, even after all this time. You still use the same old boring Shinsu control skill. Don't you ever learn any new tricks? Although that thing will kill me instantly if it touches me. So, Gustang does acknowledge that it can kill him, apparently. Shut up. At least it's better than your overcomplicated, useless Shinsu control skills. He could be a real nuisance if he activates his library. I can't give him a chance to do that. And I feel like we still don't have, like, you know, we see that he can do the writing things and making them real thing that Tiara could do, because of course the power came from him originally, but we still don't have a full explanation of the full, like, suite of Gustang's powers, which is exciting, because I'm excited to one day finally get, like, the Gustang power explanation. And see what Gustang can really do. Because it feels like we've seen a lot more out of Traumare than out of Gustang. It's time to end this. He creates a cylinder with it. And all the sheets are coming together to form a larger cylinder still. Seems like he's building something to keep Gustang trapped in. And then Traumare style Shinsu control skill, Incarnation of Rupture. And again, though Disconnect is good, I don't think Rupture... Here's the thing, after all the comments and stuff, like literally right after posting last week's video, not long after, I went and looked at the Korean, and the Korean is like literally Disconnection. So Disconnect or Disconnection is like a way better translation, but I don't mind Rupture either, so I don't know if I'll change it every time I say it out loud. So just know, even if I keep reading it as Rupture, again, Disconnection is a better translation. I'm trapped. And now we see some of them coming in towards him. It seems like it would be very hard to not die from this. But he still just throws fire. Is he trying to make it impossible for me to dodge his attacks? Gustang's still just avoiding them. And arguably, I guess, deflecting them using the flames. I wonder whose eye this is. It looks like one of the creatures. Is that still the transformed Megalodon? Is that an ancient fish? It's gotten enormous. Now I understand why Traumare said that earlier. After devouring so many different creatures, that things become so bizarre I don't even know what to make of it. So I wonder then, like, Megalodon was of course the large one, but there were also a bunch of small sharks with it, and it just kept getting devoured and fusing together with all of the ancient Shinhale. So do they all count as like, are they like a hive mind megalodon now? I can't incinerate it all at once. And we have, again, just this mass of ancient Shinhale. Alright. Some more massive panels. It's going in to chomp down on Gastang. Right. More massive panels. We see it bites down. And now we see a sheet from Traumerei. I caught him. And he sends it out as an attack. And again, to hit Gastang, he doesn't mind cleaving through his own Shinhale anyway. Rupture. Oh, it seems like it might have hit him. But he's riding something, so I'm assuming whatever he wrote is probably going to save him. It seems like it might actually be cutting his head off. But the question is, can he survive that? And it worked. Traumerei seems like he's taking Gastang really lightly here. So, we have seen high rankers survive some crazy stuff. So if we can see, I think Doom got hit through the head, right, and survived because he was like, as long as his heart survives, he can regen his brain. Kelhelm and Calavan have both like had a chunk of their torso blown out and survived it. So with all of that in mind, like, they aren't a family head, so him getting his head cut off, if he immediately connects it back, I wonder, or if he wrote something that will help him out, I wonder how that'll work. Because, like, once we started getting people surviving these absolutely insane injuries, it's like, okay, well, when you're at the top of the food chain as a family head, what kind of injuries can you just survive? We have Bong Bong in the midst of all of this. Just getting thrown to the side. Those two are really going at it. They say there's nothing scarier than when close friends fight. And now we see some of the slime, some of the goop, some of the jelly jiggler. Holy shit, says Belarankidu. Hey, it's like being squeezed between two giant boulders. I thought I was a goner. That's the guy who stole my chess piece. Andorthy Zahard. Hey, you, give me back my chess piece right now. And they both lose balance. Holen? And Holen is still in there. Crazy. Holen's really going through it. He has had to have had one of the roughest times in Tower of God as a character. Oh no, he's completely mutated. But he has Traumerei's king. I need to get it from him somehow. Gross. What the hell does it keep eating? Wait a minute. He smiles. I have a good idea. Hey, if you want your chess piece back, I'll give it to you. But you need to do something for me. What? You know that pink skill of yours? Use that skill to bring me closer to Holen. If you do that, I'll give you back your chess piece. What? You'll give it back just like that? Bullshit, how am I supposed to trust you? What reason do you have not to believe me? I actually feel like working together would be in both of their best interest here. And as naive as it might sound, I feel like I would trust Belarankidu here. I feel like he doesn't want to kill a princess because that would be bad news. Like, maybe in the future, that might be something that's on the plans for Revolution. But at least for right now, it might be a bit too early for something like that. And it seems to me that he would want control over the game by getting Traumerei's chess piece. And that would be more important to him than holding on to Gastang's chess piece specifically. Because Gastang's already working with Belarankidu anyway. And if Androssi or Andorthy has it, then I don't think that throws off their plans that much, really. So I think it's reasonable to trust him. Lord Gastang's the leader of our family. My main enemy in this war's Traumerei. I don't really want this king. I want Traumerei's. As long as I get what I want, I'll give this back to you. And from what we've seen in the past, I do think he's generally telling the truth. Again, I think it's a truth that still benefits him, but it is generally the truth. Really? Of course not, you fool, he thinks. Of course. If you just get me up close to that guy, I'll give back your chess piece right away. If you want, I'll even tell you how to reach the arena. You mean it. I want it back right away. Absolutely. I'll give it right back so that you can go straight to the arena. Okay, deal. Great, we have a deal. I can't believe how gullible she is. Does she think I would just hand this over to her? Now both chess pieces will be mine. Nope, never mind. He's more generic than I thought. But I do still think that, again, push comes to shove, he's telling the truth about Traumare's piece being more important to him. At least in this moment, because it's the harder one to get. Even if he does give the piece over to Dorothy, it'd be much easier to get it back in some way through scheming than to get the piece from Holin. But if you try anything funny, I'll knock you down so hard it'll make your head spin. Alright, fair enough. As soon as he takes the chess piece, I'll steal them both from him. Pretty soon, both kings will be mine. And then we end there. See, I don't know. I feel like this is something that some people won't like. The Bellerir and Dorothy doing stuff in the middle of this big fight. I don't mind it. I think seeing more stuff from their characters are fine. And I don't want to judge it too harshly without waiting and seeing where it's going. I'd rather just wait and see where it goes. Again, we just had more of the family heads fighting, and it feels like I just don't see it ending anytime soon. We still have other things to cut away and see first, probably. We still have, they're still just kind of playing around with their fight. Sure, Traumare was trying to kill Gaston here, but it's one of those things where we're at a point in the arc where there's so many things, so many small scale things still going on that we're not at a part where I just believe, oh my god, he's gonna kill Gaston here. It's not reasonable for me to think, oh yeah, it's gonna happen now. If anything, I think this fight is, with the pacing we've been going with so far, I think this fight has another 12-15 chapters at least in it before we see any sort of resolution. And even then, with as much as we might have to cut away to other things, even then it might not be done. So I think we need to buckle in for a long ride. So either way, it was an alright chapter. I feel like that's the way things have been. Sorry, hiccup. Again, post Traumare flashback, when we got out of that, again, I thought that a couple chapters ago, one chapter was really good, but other than that, the Bomb and Dumas chapters weren't very good, and other than the first chapter we got of Gaston and Traumare stuff, most of these, they haven't been bad. Do not get me wrong, they have been good, but they haven't been great. Just good. They've been alright. That's kind of where I am with the fight with them. But either way, I'm going to go get this video posted for you all. Again, a lot of the discussion I had about Tower of God, the arc, this fight as a whole, I did at the beginning of the video, and my opinions here haven't really changed much. I still haven't done the anime reaction, that's what it is, for last week's episode, because I was running late on it. I heard it was bad anyway, and I was like, I'll just wait, do these two episodes at once, because I'm assuming these two episodes are probably going to be the entirety of the Hand of Arlen stuff, so I'll watch them together. It makes sense to do it that way anyway. And I don't know what I want to do about the anime. If you're the people making the anime, I heard recently that I think Stray Kids are coming back to do the opening and ending, and they did a good opening and ending song for the first season, and it's okay, let's say they make a good song again for the workshop battle opening and ending. What's the point of even doing workshop battle? If it's gonna look like Return of the Prince looked, and turn off as many people as Return of the Prince has turned off from the series, then Return of the Prince had the opposite effect of Season 1. Season 1 I didn't think was perfect, but it looked good, it was nice. The only problems I had were it made, the pacing wasn't good, and it made a lot of weird choices. But overall, it brought a lot of new people into the series. Season 2 hasn't been doing that. Season 2's been turning people away from Tower of God as a series. in a part of the story that you should be loving, probably, as a person getting into Tower of God more than anything. This is arguably one of the best parts of the series, and the anime's so bad it's still turning people away from the series. So I just like if you're doing this poorly, if you're half-assing Return of the Prince this much, why not just call it a day, say, hey, we can't deliver on Workshop Battle. If it's going to be bad, why not just not do it, honestly? So I don't know what I want to do, because like I said, I think in maybe my last anime video, I want to do things where I'm going to be positive. I want to watch and read things where I'm going to be like, look at this cool thing nobody's talking about, or that, maybe some people are talking about, but I want to share with you. I want to share how much I love this thing with you. I want to do that. That's, again, like I said, why I started the channel with Tower of God and everything, where I was like, oh my gosh, nobody's talking about Tower of God. Why is nobody talking about Tower of God? It's amazing. So, and that's what I keep doing. That's why, like, pretty much nobody watched my Promised Neverland videos, but I enjoyed them, and there were a few people who enjoyed them, and that's enough. I really love Marriage Toxin. Pretty much nobody's watching those videos, but I really love Marriage Toxin and just want to share talking about it with all of you. And I do that for all of the series that I cover. The anime that I'm watching and that I want to do anime reviews on. It's things that I love and feel passionate about and want to just share with you. I don't want to be one of those chapters that's just sitting around being negative and super, like, putting my critical reading, critical watching cap on and talking about to like tear down or be like, this is the worst thing ever, this is so bad. I just don't want to sit and talk about things in a negative light. I don't want to sit and talk about things that I don't enjoy, that I don't love. And so if the anime is going to continue to be bad, it's like, people want to see me talking about Tower of God because it's something that I've been doing, it's something that I'm passionate about. But if the anime is going to be bad, do I really want to sit and talk about something if I'm just going to be like, yeah, that wasn't very good? Even if I can try to have fun with it with all of you, am I really going to want to do that when I could spend that time instead talking about something that I think is awesome and that I love? So I don't know. I'm just torn on what to do when it comes to Tower of God anime stuff, because it's something that I think a lot of people would expect me to do. But at the same time, if it's not going to be good, I don't want to just sit and be negative about something, But either way, with that aside, I'll do that sometime this week. I'll do a double video on the past 2 episodes of the anime, provided I get time. Hopefully I get time. Again, I'm recording this at 1 a.m. and then I have to do all of this, so who knows when I'll get to bed. I have to get up and do things tomorrow, and then once I finally get time tomorrow, away from real life stuff to work on YouTube stuff, it's like I'll need to find time to do Kubera, I need to find time to do Killing Bites, and then I'll need ORV. I have 7 anime reviews that I've taken notes for that I need to record. I tried to record this week or last week, whatever you want to say, that I need to record still once I get time. So it's like, when I get time, I'll do it. I'm trying to get my schedule under control, but as seen by the fact that I'm recording here at 1 a.m., not doing the best job. I had been trying, again, when I was really high on Tower of God, when the hype was running really high weeks ago, I was trying to organize a tier list. I wanted to do a tier list with Dr. Bonehead, Naya, and Roncan. So I was trying to organize that, but I feel bad. I just haven't been able to follow up on that with them. I haven't been able to really plan anymore with them, just because I've only been getting time to record at like midnight, 1 a.m. For the past weeks now, maybe even a couple months. It's been rare that I've been able to actually record during the day, so it's like, I can't exactly set up to try to plan a collab at like 2 a.m., you know what I mean? So it's been rough trying to get my schedule under control. But either way, thank you for watching. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this chapter, my first thoughts and reactions. Subscribe for more Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, it's free and open for anyone. Ask and I'll give you a link. If you want to help support the channel by dropping a super thanks, it is very much appreciated. But if you want to, not only help me to continue to make videos by supporting, but also get your name at the end of every video, get One Piece videos a bit early. I totally forgot One Piece today. You can hit join down below to become a member, or go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Yeah, I totally forgot to make One Piece public for everybody this morning. I just remembered as I was in the shower before I came to record this that I still needed to get that posted. So, that was a bit late for everybody, but the patrons and members got it early. But thank you to people who are already patrons and members. Thank you to people, or thank you to Chosen Regular, Evan, Holly, Magical Girls, FR Nono, Abyss Knight, JA, and the D-Ban, Cheriton Students, David Langstaff, and Folded Ghoul, Slayer Candidates, SG, and Stan Cedar, and Pure Element, Pater Owl. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching, for being here, for supporting. Especially thank you to patrons and members for everything they do to help me to keep making videos. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you all next time.